On the program today, bridging the military-civilian gap. As more and more post-9/11 veterans return to civilian life, there's a growing discontent with the process. A recent Pew Research Center survey found that while only about 1/2% of the U.S. population has been on active duty in the last 10 years, there is 84% of those people, post-9/11 vets, who say the public just really doesn't understand what they go through and what their families go through. This same poll found that only 71% of civilians felt the same way. From strained family relations to psychological, emotional, physical issues, there is growing discontent. But in an effort to help bear the burden, there's something called USA Cares, a Kentucky-based organization, and we're going to tell you how they're reaching out to veterans. And later in the program, what we're doing to help student veterans. Next on Outlook. On the program today, we're taking a closer look at veterans issues. More significantly, what are we doing to help our veterans once they return stateside? We're going to find out about an organization called USA Cares, a Kentucky-based organization. And later in the show, what are we doing to help student veterans? That's up next. But first, let's welcome two of our guests to the program this day. We welcome Lonnie White, who has just recently been appointed the Director of Communications for USA Cares. That was just the other day, yesterday, huh?
That's right.
So congratulations.
Well, thank you very much.
And thank you for being here.
Thank you.
In addition, Terry Scariot joins us. He is a board member with USA Cares. And in addition, you're going to find out more as this interview unfolds. He's done a lot to help the veterans, specifically the veterans here in the Western Kentucky region, and as a result, across the nation. We'll talk more about that. So before we begin, you mentioned, glad you went to Pew, got that research. So the numbers are there. The statistics are bearing the fact that when our veterans come home, you know, it's a kind of a different veteran, our post-9/11 veteran, than our World War II. So talk a little bit about that, if you will.
Well, these are very young veterans. Our newest generations of veterans are very young. They are called the Gulf War Era II veterans. Generally, let's put it this way, the Gulf War Era I veterans, 87% of them were 35 years and older. Now, with these new wars that we are winding down on, these veterans, about 36% of them are 35 and older. So that means that these two wars, these two concurrent wars, have been unprecedented for many different reasons. And a big reason is because this has been a young man's war, a young person's war. These are 18 and 24-year-olds who have committed themselves to serving the nation. And they are coming back in a very chaotic situation, frankly. They're coming back to a very difficult job economy. They're coming back with mental stress that they never anticipated, that their families never anticipated.
Well, why the mental stress? Let's talk a little bit. You know, we hear a lot about something called PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. We also hear something about traumatic brain injury, which contributes to some of this. You know, anger issues, depression issues, really a lot of emotional issues. Isn't war in general a place where those things are born? I mean, why are we seeing more of that with this particular cohort?
I think we're paying more attention to it. You can assume that anyone who has gone through any kind of war experience has gone through something that leaves a mark on them. Think about Vietnam. Those veterans, we didn't talk about PTSD. There was no such thing called PTSD at that time. But now the times have changed.
Right.
The times have changed, and we realize that what's going on is a true traumatic incident that is making a difference in how they cope with their everyday lives. So it's just a matter of discovery over time and experience and understanding what we didn't do right with Vietnam veterans that we're trying to right with post-9/11 veterans.
I'm glad you brought that up because, as we know, the Vietnam War era veterans came back to people who were not real happy to see them, weren't real happy that they went and fought in that war. And so can you imagine what they had to deal with? So you hit the nail on the head. So we're a different kind of America to come back to with these veterans.
Fortunately, in these times, there's an appreciation for what the veteran did in the recent conflicts. But in the Vietnam War, obviously, they were not welcome home. That created more stress, and there really wasn't a good understanding of what PTSD was all about. Today, there's more knowledge of that. They're able to diagnose on a degree scale how severe the PTSD is and what programs might be applicable to assist that veteran in getting better. The problem is a lot of them can't take off work and get to their treatment programs, and that's where USA Cares comes in. We have a program where we'll have our caseworker work with that individual, try to assist them with their budget, what monies they need to kind of take a couple months off to go to, if they live in Ohio or Kentucky or wherever, to get down to Houston or Washington to a treatment program. So we'll pay the mortgage, pay the car payment, assist that veteran to get to his treatment program where without that assistance, they just wouldn't go to treatment. Their family continues to suffer. They continue to suffer.
True. And we're going to back up and give you a little more on USA Cares. But so, okay, they come home. We've got this younger cohort, 18 to 24-year-olds. While they were gone, the economy ain't doing so good. So in many cases, they come back to no job. They come back to the possibility that they might be losing their house. They have strained family relations. Their kids don't know who they are, born while they were gone. I mean, oh my gosh. In some cases, they come back injured without limbs, post-traumatic stress. So what you're saying is these young people who come back, in many cases, didn't have anywhere to go. Enter USA Cares. Been around since 2003. Mm-hmm. And so give us a little bit of the genesis of how it came to be, because it's Kentucky-based. Yeah?
USA Cares started out as a small grassroots movement by some very patriotic citizens in the Louisville area and in the southern Indiana area, right outside of Louisville.
It was initially that area. Any reason, any particular reason, just for that?
I think that we can all say that Kentuckians are pretty involved and pretty tough people, and they know what the issues are, and they focus on what is real. So I'm not surprised to hear that it came from that area.
Fort Knox probably.
Well, I wondered that about the Fort Knox and the connection.
But it started out as Kentuckiana Cares, and it just grew from there into a national organization. We are stationed at Radcliffe outside of Fort Knox, but our reach is national. We have serviced coming up to about 35,000 service members now with nearly $9 million, and all of that is 100% donated by the public, by grateful American public, and we use those dollars very, very correctly. We're a very transparent organization. We can tell you that 84 to 87 cents of every dollar donated goes to helping that service member and their family.
Again. How many? How much? 80?
Anywhere from 84 to 87 cents of every dollar that is donated to USA Cares goes to help that service member and their family.
So it's not paying for overhead, it's not doing that kind of thing.
We have a conference room, all of the chairs are different, none of them match. so
Donated. We're going to find out more about USA Cares and how it's helping our post 9/11 veterans. And later in the show, in Outlook, we're going to find out how we're helping our student veterans when they return stateside. More of Outlook, paying attention to veterans, next. Stay with us. Outlook continues. We're looking at veterans issues, in particular an organization, a Kentucky-based organization called USA Cares. Before the break, we found out how it was established in the year 2003, and rejoining us are Lonnie White and Terry Scariot. Now, Lonnie is the Director of Communications for USA Cares. You were saying it was a group of just concerned people that said, you know what, we want to do something for our post 9/11 veterans. Here we are, current day. They have serviced over 35,000 requests with a budget of around $9 million, all out of private grant monies and contributions. Now that's huge. That's a huge effort. So let's talk a little bit about the formation of USA Cares. Started in 2003 and saw a real need. I see it as almost bridging the gap So these vets come back home. They might need to go for treatment somewhere, maybe in another state. They have no way to get there. They don't have the means financially and or physically.
The original heritage of USA Cares was to pay the bills when the military family got in financial trouble. So fellows stationed in Iraq or Afghanistan, his wife has 3 little kids in the United States. The mortgage company, they can't quite keep up with the mortgage, so she gets a notice they're going to be booted out of their home. She gets in contact with USA Cares. Within a couple days, the caseworker has sorted through her financial situation, arranged to make a payment to the mortgage company, perhaps the lease on her car, or some food cards to keep her going. So the service member in harm's way overseas doesn't have to worry about that. So that was the original heritage of USA Cares, and that continues to be a key element of USA Cares programs today.
But it's grown.
Yeah, it has grown dramatically regarding the treatment programs I described earlier. Again, treatment programs are available, they just can't afford from their family budget to take a couple months and go get fixed or go get taken care of or go get some help, and that's where USA Cares steps in.
Okay, so we've certainly, programs like this and getting the word out is one way to get the word to these people, but how else is it that you're getting through to them saying, we're here, we'll help you?
We go right to them. We go to various bases all over the country. We have an outreach program, and we go right to them and let them know that this service is available to them. And this is a very unique organization. No one else, no service organization around the country gives such a comprehensive program as we do. We cover all of the bases. Our Warrior Treatment Today program is the only one in the country that really allows a veteran to activate their benefit for treatment for PTSD. It's just what Terry was saying. The issue is, sure, the benefit is there, but how am I going to leave my job? How am I going to leave my wife and children? How are we going to pay those essential bills? USA Cares pays all of those bills to allow that individual to get the treatment that they need. Because obviously this has been a very long, unprecedented military experience for a lot of them. And you remember that these are young people who have faced multiple deployments. By multiple, I'm saying not one or two,
right.
Oftentimes 5 or 6. And obviously that has an effect on an individual. You just have to believe that when they get off that plane and they're home and all the balloons and the confetti is there, they have something that they have to deal with. And that's where USA Cares comes in. We aren't really involved with the welcome home celebration, although we believe in all of that. We're the organization that is there when all of that confetti is on the floor and the reality of life starts setting in. We're the ones who are going to be there for those service members to make sure that their family's taken care of and also they get the treatment that they need, and that they find a job. That's a big thing too.
Find a job, and I want to talk about the job situation. But with a $9 million budget and with all these requests, this must be an incredible amount of organization to make sure that the needs are being met and that they're going to the right people and that they're getting through.
We take about 150 cases every week in Radcliffe, Kentucky. That is where we consolidate all of our business in one office. And what you're talking about is an intake process. It's a very military type process. They call, you have to apply through our website at usacares.com, .org. You apply there. Within 2 business days, we guarantee that a counselor will be calling you, asking you questions to try to feel out what it is that you need and what our resources are. And even if we don't exactly fit the needs that you have, we stay with you because we are involved in a wide network of different organizations that are resources for military, and we can certainly refer anyone anywhere. We can make calls on their behalf to get what they need. So you're never dropped. You are just taken. You're part of us. Once you make that phone call, we've got you.
You heard it here. Now, talking about jobs, when a lot of these post 9/11 veterans return, their jobs are gone. They had to give them to someone else while they were away. They come back to this economy and they don't have a job. Now, Terry, you took it upon yourself. You yourself are not a veteran. Your father is, World War II. But you felt so strongly at having been exposed to this organization that you became involved, and you became involved monetarily. Tell us a little bit about that.
When I visited USA Cares, I spent a day there kind of doing my diligence on the charity. I had a fondness for military because of my father's service in World War II, and he suffered from PTSD, but didn't realize it at the time and couldn't talk about the war till he was almost 70. And then finally at age 70, he sat down with me and kind of explained his service, and it was quite moving session with him. And he explained there was roughly a 50% casualty rate in the, he was a machine gunner in World War II stationed in England, flying bombing missions over Germany at the time. And he would explain he's got 8 buddies in a card game with him one night. They go on their mission the next day, and only 4 are there the next night at the card game. And you know, it was obviously stressful, and you know, with the flak, you know, exploding around the plane and all that. So I got a sense from him after many, many years what that was all about. So again, I wanted to give back and do something for our military. And I actually work with Bluegrass Community Foundation in Lexington, and one of their representatives did the research for me. We visited USA Cares, and once they explained all the programs and efforts, I was committed to support them in the future financially, but they graciously asked me to join the board and get involved at the charity and assist them, which it has enriched my life since I got involved.
Well, you're enriching the lives of many people in addition by a scholarship that you established with your wife at WKU.
Yeah, we set up a program because of our fondness for WKU in Bowling Green, where we live, and we've done many other programs there in our relationship with Gary Ransdell, the president, and some other programs I'll explain in a second. But we decided to set up the Brian Anderson Western Kentucky University Job for Vets program. So what we do is put the veteran student, when he's a year from graduation, in touch with the caseworkers at USA Cares. They help understand what his training and degree program is and what job opportunities they might guide him to. And then if financially he has an interview or she has an interview, let's say in Atlanta, but it's tough to get down there and stay a couple days for the interview, USA Cares will step in, buy them a couple tanks of gas, pay their hotel bill, just facilitate their job interview. And then if they get that job and they need to move down there, help them rent their rental truck, arrange to get their furniture loaded, get them down there, perhaps pay a couple car payments just to get them started. So that's the focus of that program. And
well, let's show him Brian Anderson. It is named aptly
yes,
for a triple amputee, a veteran, a post 9/11 veteran, and he was in our studio recently, but you named the scholarship for him. What an amazing, he lost a hand and 2 legs in the war, and there's a shot of him. But so you met Brian and you felt like it was
through USA
appropriate.
Cares, I got to meet Brian at a 9/11 fundraiser in New York. He and I became friends and have gotten involved in some other programs together. And I just felt compelled to name this after Brian, not after myself,
Well, there you
because
go.
of his courage and inspiration.
And he is an inspiration at that. And so is this organization. But, you know, my mom always said if it sounds too good to be true, chances are it probably is. So there, you know, you might have a lot of skeptical people watching the show going, yeah, it does sound too good to be true.
You know what? We get that all the time, even from the military people who call us for assistance. They say, okay, so what's the catch? You know, what is this about? And it is nothing. There is no catch. This is simply how a grateful nation is paying back that individual who had been willing to put themselves in harm's way for us. Terry Scariot represents the kind of philanthropy and the kind of people interest that organizations like USA Cares must have in order to do the right thing for these young men and women who are coming back. You know, just like he was saying, it is just awesome to think that an individual will deploy 6 or 7 times and they come back home and they can't even afford a tank of gas to get to a job interview. And that's where the philanthropy of Mr. Scariot and other corporations and other individuals come in. We're able to assist them so that they can get back to their normal lives. There is a belief out there that if you work for the federal government, you're being taken care of because after all, you work for the federal government. But that's not true. The truth is that there are 1 million backlogged mental health cases at the VA right now. It's taking more than 125 days to get the typical case processed. Well, what do you do if you haven't gotten your disability rating? You're not going to get a paycheck. So how do you feed your babies? How do you pay your utility bills? And that's where USA Cares comes in. We know that it's not your fault. You've done everything you can for this country, but you need a gap filler, and that's what USA Cares does. We fill in that gap until the system comes up for you the way it's supposed to. And it's just our great great privilege. And you would be amazed at the kind of soldiers, men and women that we service. And just like you were saying, we had a program in Chicago, a Jobs for Vets, where we fronted the initial cost for electricians, for soldiers to become electricians. I think it was a year's worth of training in 7 weeks, an intensive program. It's a partnership that we have with the Associated Builders and Contractors organization all over the country. And I remember one of the individuals saying, "Okay, so what's the catch? You're going to pay my rent. You're going to pay my utilities.
Right?
What's the catch? You're going to pay my tuition. What's the catch?" And the catch is, you've done so much for us. It's the least that we can do for you.
Now, this is a unique opportunity in that it's a Kentucky-based organization. It's called USA Cares, catering to returning vets from around the country. You don't have to be from Kentucky,
Right.
all branches of service. Are there other organizations cropping up like USA Cares, or is this the only
USA
one?
Cares is one of a kind.
One of a kind.
We are comprehensive all across the board. We handle your essential bills. We try to get you a job. We try to get you in training that will guarantee you a job. There's just no one else that does what USA Cares does, and we know that for sure. And we work with wounded veterans. We work with veterans who are physically well. So just a very comprehensive reach.
In all branches. Well, continued success. We'll get you back in here as we go to see how that works. We're going to thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Lonnie White, Terry Scariot.
Delighted.
And when we come back, we're going to find out what's being done at WKU to help returning veterans get back in the classroom. Stay with us when Outlook continues after this. Outlook continues. I'm Barbara Deeb. You know, on the program today, we're taking a look at what post 9/11 vets are facing once they return to the United States. In the first segment, we learned about an organization that's bridging the gap, filling those gaps. It's called USA Cares. Now we're going to learn about students, those who want to go back to school, what's being done to help them out. We welcome to the program Danielle Adams, and she's got two titles. She is the president, the national president of the Student Veterans Alliance, and also the president of the WKU Student Veterans Alliance, right? Got to say that. And you yourself are a veteran. You served in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Yes, I did.
You got out in 09?
I got out of active duty in 2009, yes.
So one of the big things that you're working on, you're going to work on as a fellow, kind of like on an internship basis, the mission continues. If you can see her t-shirt, that's what it says. The mission continues. It's not a charity, it's a challenge. And so what is it that you're doing for post 9/11 veterans through this organization?
Well, the organization is aimed towards post 9/11 veterans. It's challenging them to get involved in their community. And with me, I decided you get to choose whichever nonprofit organization you want within your community to serve, and you serve 20 hours a week. I chose Student Veterans of America, which I'm the national president of, but to focus more on Kentucky and Tennessee. So my focus is I go and I contact local chapters and I make sure that they're doing well. If they need any assistance to get either off their feet or help maintain their momentum, I will also be planning a leadership summit come in the fall, and to invite all of the members and the chapters to kind of get together and brainstorm and collectively bring together all of our ideas and the programs that we've been working on in our own campuses and universities.
And so the key here is to get some of the post 9/11 veterans who maybe want to get back in the classroom or get involved in their community, and they just really don't know where to go. So this is a means by which they can, the vehicle to get out there?
Well, the Student Veterans of America, it's like a conglomeration of almost 500 chapters across the nation. So when you're searching for a campus or a school that you want to go to, be sure to check their website to see if there's a campus chapter on it, because those are the people who are going to tell you, like, this is how you get it done, this is how you apply for your benefits, these are the extras that you can help you out to get settled in. If they have a resource center, WKU will be opening up our Veterans Resource Center this fall. We have a vet-to-vet program, a textbooks for troops. There's multiple different programs going on. So it's something that the veterans should be really cognizant of when choosing which university they would like to attend. Because once we choose one, we don't want to move around. We just kind of want to stay and get our graduation
settled.
Yes.
For a while. You know, the GI Bill, of course, was big with Vietnam veterans, and of course the World War II. Some of those people got to take advantage of. So we do have a post 9/11 GI Bill, and is it as enticing for young people, or doesn't have to be young, anybody returning to want to come back and go back to school?
Oh, it's fantastic, and it really does help. And it's not completely all-inclusive, but it's a wonderful start and a wonderful helping stepping stone. The post 9/11 GI Bill includes your tuition, it includes book stipend, and a living stipend that can assist you to getting started. So you don't have to worry about all those extras in order to get going with school.
Was that an issue for you when you came back in '09?
Oh, without a doubt. It was actually my transition wasn't the smoothest. I got out in '09 and I basically came home, and I was used to living on my own. I was 25 years old, and I came home and I was living with my mom, and it took me a while to get in school because when I came, the post 9/11 GI Bill just began, like it was just starting. So, and I heard all these horror stories about how it wasn't working, how it was backlogged, how people were owing money. I was just, well, I don't want to touch that yet. So I kind of just waited, but during the waiting period, like I couldn't find a job. I wasn't very productive. I went from having a mission to not having a mission, and it was kind of just not a great time. And so finally, when I got into school, like the post 9/11 GI Bill really helped me get involved and get me active within the campus, and like gave me that ability to do something that I may not have been able to do. And it's definitely helping me get past this hurdle of trying to find higher education and graduate. So,
and I think you'll be very successful if this is any indication. And you are the president of the National Student Veterans Alliance and WKU Student Veterans Alliance as well. Continued success, and we'll want to find out more as the mission continues. Thanks for joining us. We've been joined by Danielle Adams, and we're going to put up a telephone number if you'd like more information about the WKU Student Veterans Alliance or the national organization as well. That's going to wrap it up for this week's edition of Outlook. I'm Barbara Deeb. Be sure to find us on Facebook and Twitter. Until next time, thanks for joining us.